Hello, my name is Rick Riddle, and this is a short syllabus video to talk about the class GM 543 Economics for Managers, and this is fall 2023 Franklin Pierce University online program. All right. In terms of what's required for this class, in terms of a textbook, there are 2 textbooks required for this class. The first one is Managerial Economics, a Problem-Solving Approach, the 5th edition by Frobe and McCann. You can use either an ebook or an actual physical copy of the book. Either one of those will work for this particular class, right? In terms of the second textbook, The New Ideas from Dead Economists by Buckles, that is a reading textbook, and you will be required to quote and have page numbers for all the quotations that you use. Say they must come from the paperback version of the book. If you have an ebook only, you will lose points each week because you cannot cite the correct page numbers, because the page numbers do vary. And I require the ebook, the paperback book. It's fairly inexpensive. It's like $10 or $15, so it's not an expensive book to buy. All right, so what's required for the class? So basically, you have threaded discussion, and I'll talk a little bit about that separately. Week numbers 1 through week number 11, that's 30% of your grade. 1 threaded discussion section each week, 1 through 11. The stock game is due in week number 11, that's 30% of your grade. There's a separate video all about the stock game. Theory assignments is a theory assignment every week from week numbers 1 through week number 9. Totally, they count as 35% of your grade. And finally, the module paper where you basically apply how this course fits into your foundation paper, and that's worth 5% of your grade, and that's what we'll do early week number 12, actually on Wednesday night of week number 12. Grading follows the standard Franklin Pierce grading program guidelines, like a 93 to 100, for example, is an A. So threaded discussion, each of the online units, or every unit actually, because they're all online, has one thread discussion question, except for the last unit, week number 12, has no thread discussion. And some of those thread discussion questions, topics have 2 different parts, and you have to answer both parts. Initial response is due not later than Wednesday night, and threaded discussion for all of them closes each week on Saturday night, all times being Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Time, whether it be Daylight Savings Time right now or Standard Time. So if you live in a different time zone, please adjust your calendar so that you post based on the due dates based on Eastern Time, right? I asked you to post 3 to 4 total post thread discussion, maybe a 5th, occasionally maybe a 6th thread discussion post each week, but not excessive posts. You will lose points for excessive posts. Respond to the question not later than Wednesday. All the discussion questions are all open right now. Then respond to the question again and to other student postings into my comments to you not later than Saturday night. If you try to post after Saturday night of this week, try to post on Sunday, which is basically like the next week, or kind of almost the beginning of the next week. If you try to post on Sunday, basically you'll only be able to get in advance of the thread discussion. You won't be able to get the one that just closed on Saturday night, right? So we have 2 types of thread discussion questions. We have general thread discussion questions, which form like units 1 and 2, and then we get to unit number 3. The thread discussion comes from New Ideas from Dead Economists. So when you have the regular general thread discussion questions, which like number 1 is ask you to read an article or a couple of articles based on directed donations and sale of body parts, and are those ethical, and can you apply any terms and concepts from the book? Do some research on those. Apply some research to your post, right? Cite that research. Apply text, terms, and concepts. Use bold and italics to apply those, to emphasize those. Makes it easier to read and navigate your post. Makes it much more professional looking, right? In terms of New Ideas from Dead Economists, those particular posts, thread discussion questions, you will use only the New Ideas from Dead Economists. No outside research, no slide player that I attached in there for introduction for that edition, that specific question. Only the New Ideas from Dead Economists for your initial post. And you will use at least 1, preferably 2 or 3 direct quotes to support your post from the reading from New Ideas from Dead Economists. Those quotes need to be in quotation marks, italicized and followed by the page number where I can find those back in the paperback edition of the book. And be sure to give me to cite your source, including the edition of the copyright date of the New Ideas from Dead Economists that you're using. Right? Try to post on 3 different dates. Now, I know I said 3 to 4 or 5, maybe 6 at the most total posts. Try to post on 3 different days. So basically, I want to see you be active, but I don't want to see you have a lot of excessive posts. All posts need to add content. Please avoid phrases like, I agree, I love your post, great post. Those don't add any value. You won't get points. You'll actually lose points on your grade if you add words that just don't add any value. We will all say, we all want to agree at the beginning of the class that all of our peers have great posts, and therefore we don't want to reiterate that term, great post, right? Generally, a 96 is the best you're going to get on threaded discussion. Occasionally, there'll be a person who get a 98 or 100, but almost no threaded discussion post is 100% perfect, so very few people are going to get 100%, right? If you post only on Wednesday after 6 o'clock and Saturday after 6 o'clock, so only 2 days and only in the last 6 hours basically to post the original post and the last 6 hours to post follow-ups, you'll receive a grade that will not be in excess of a B, right? If you post all of your responses to peers only late on Saturday, few of them will read them, and therefore the grade will not be higher than a B+. All right? Please head your posts wherever you can with a meaningful header. Like that being said, if I ask you, for example, to apply agency theory to your job, your header might be what the name of your company is, applying agency theory. Don't use a header like Rick Riddle, week number 2, threaded discussion. That's meaningless, and that's just extra typing as extra line on the page, and you'll lose credit for typing something like that. So use a meaningful header whenever you can. When you can't, then no header. Again, bold and italics for key terms and phrases. Always add content in your threaded discussion posts. Try to apply concepts from the book. Do some outside research to make those posts great. Try to be efficient and effective in terms of your post. Wordiness is not going to get you extra points and will lose significant points in terms of grades. I like things to be short and to the point. Right? Bulleted lists are oftentimes great in terms of thread discussions, but use proper grammar and proper writing skills. All right. The stock game, that was worth, I think what I said, 30 or 35% of your grade. There's actually 3 parts of the stock game. What I'm talking about, the 30 or 35% is basically what your final stock game submission is going to be, and I have a separate video all about the stock game, which I asked you to please look at. But there's also a part of your homework for week number 2, which you basically give me a table of what the stock picks say you are, that show that you invested the $100,000, and a screen print that showed that you actually did that in the stock game. That's part of your homework for week number 2. And then your homework for week number 6 is basically an update on what you've done so far in your project, right? Other than that, the rest of the project is due in week number 11. All right, so we'll talk more about the stock project afterwards. Theory assignments. There's a theory assignment every week, week numbers 1 through week number 9. There's no theory assignment in week number 10. Week number 11, your assignment is basically a theory type of assignment. It's to turn in your stock paper, stock project. And week number 12, it's the module paper, right? In terms of your theory assignments, those need to be dropped in the Dropbox for the class, the specific Dropbox that is there, right? For that theory assignment. If you have trouble with the Dropbox, then please do not call me. Please do not email me. Please do not tell me you're having trouble with that. Please try clearing your cache. Please try a different browser. If you're using your phone to do it, go to a PC. Everything basically for this class should be done on a PC or a laptop and not on a phone. And if all of that doesn't work, then you need to call the Franklin Pierce Help Desk. So if you look over, and you're not going to actually see it over here because my window doesn't go quite to the left side, but on the left navigation bar, there's a question mark. It says the help. If you click on that, it will give you the phone number for the help desk, and they're available 24/7, and they will help you out. If it's something that I did wrong, just document that and just email me, or ask them to email me as well, and you will get additional time to submit. Basically, I do not accept late assignments. So if you have a problem with getting the assignment done on time, unless there's extenuating circumstances, basically you're not going to get credit for that assignment. So submit what you have by the due date of 11:59 p.m. If you had a major illness or something, you know, email me and I will probably give you a little bit of extra time on that. In terms of threaded discussion, I can't really give you extra time on threaded discussion because everybody else will have moved on after Saturday night. In rare cases, if somebody was hospitalized or something, I will just not count a threaded discussion question for that person. But theory assignments need to be done, right? They need to be done in Word format, everything in one document. If there are multiple parts of the theory assignment, submit in one document. And in terms of thread discussion, you need to post directly to the thread discussion board, no attachments, at least not as your post itself. If you want to attach some kind of an appendix that's going to help people to understand your thread discussion post, then you can do that, but not the actual post itself, right? What else? Let me go down here a little bit further. The final requirement for the class is the module paper that's due in week number 12. Please watch the due dates. Watch your calendar, the due dates for everything. I believe when you sign into the class, you should have the items over on the right-hand side. It should tell you what the items are that are due within the next 7 days. Please watch that. I'm only able to put one single due date for each item. So in terms of thread discussion, I put the due date as being the due date for the initial post, not the Saturday night the thread discussion closes. So please be careful about that. The module paper is actually due on a Wednesday, so please be careful about that. That is a short module, and that's the only item for week number 12. All right, so the module paper, 3 different sections. Please actually separate each different section in the module paper itself so I know what you're answering where. So the first section is, what did you learn from this class? So it's a good chance for you to summarize what you actually learned. A lot of people forget all the things we covered over the course of the term, even though it's only 12 weeks, right? Part 2, how does this class apply to your workplace and or other activities? So how can you apply the concepts that you learned in this class to a personal hobby, to understanding news headlines, to your job, to your personal life, like investing, for example, for retirement, anything like that, right? And do you see any areas that you might be able to apply the course learning in the future, right? Part number 3, how does this class fit into your foundation paper? Since I don't have access to it and I don't want to have your foundation paper, I want you, though, to start by telling me what the goals and objectives were that you identified in your foundation paper or that you modified later on in another class when you reevaluated those goals and objectives. And then how does this class fit into furthering you in terms of those goals? You need to reevaluate your original plan. Now, that might be based on something that you found out, geez, I really like economics and I want to change to something numbers oriented and